The Enneagram archetype number 9, the peacemaker. Hello, this is Chris speaking. Wake up with another video about the Enneagram, this time number 9, the peacemaker. The ultimate aim of this series on the Enneagram is to incorporate the Enneagram into spell dynamics, which is a project of a good friend of mine whom I consider one of the leading world experts on spell dynamics, and he got me back into the Enneagram, which I studied about 25 years ago when I was very deeply into Gurdjieff. So once I'm through with all the 9 archetypes, I want to make a video about how these archetypes apply to yellow, turquoise and coral. I don't do these in a specific order here. These 9 archetypes. I started with 5 and now you wished for number 9, so I will continue with number 9. Very interesting and very rare archetype. For some reason there are not many 9s out there, is my impression. I haven't met many. I know 2 probably. But they're also a little bit difficult to recognize as 9s because they're very passive. They won't show themselves much. They don't enjoy to stand in the big show lights. They don't enjoy to be on stage. They like to be in the background. What they're very good at is integration. At bringing people together, bringing different views together, having an overview. They can take themselves out very well. They can be very neutral and non-judgmental. They are the perfect mediators and peacemakers. And similar than number 2, the number 9s, they tend to lose themselves or not to pay attention to their own needs very much. They do a lot for others. They're very optimistic, so others feel safe and well around them. They can be angry, like number 1 and number 8, their neighbors. They can be angry, but they usually suppress it and don't show it. They often say yes when they mean no. And so they have to learn how to say no. They have the delusion that they're no one special and that they have to do right by others. That they have to be there for others no matter the consequences for themselves. They always tell themselves, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. 9s have to be very, very smart and catch themselves in the act of observing themselves and their patterns. And this is one of the few types where observing alone can help to get out of it. The biggest wish of a 9 is to live in peace. So they will do anything to create peace around themselves, in their vicinity. But what they actually have to do is create peace within them. That's what they're actually looking for. Don't look for it outside, look for it inside. Because this is what you're avoiding if you're a 9. If you're a 9, you're avoiding to go inside with all your power. Outside you manage fine, but inside you're very lazy. It's a very lazy archetype spiritually. On your spiritual path, you don't do your work, you don't do your exercises. But that's exactly what you have to do. There's a big denial there. Denial that there are problems. Denial that you have your own traumata, for example, that you have to deal with at some point. 9s can be very stubborn. They seem to be very flexible, which they are if others are concerned, but towards themselves, they're very stubborn, very obstinate. They always say, I don't care if this way or that way, doesn't matter. So this can also be very dangerous for spiritual bypassers. Because that's one of the things that spiritual people say, oh, it doesn't matter this way or this way. It doesn't matter. I don't have a personality anyway anymore. I'm enlightened. This can be very dangerous if it's not really true. So one thing you have to do is to work on your suppressed anger and to say what you mean and mean what you say. Otherwise, you will withdraw into your inner sanctum where no one can reach you and where you feel safe, but where you're out of touch with reality. 9s like to find someone with whom they connect, a partner, for example, or a leader with whom they can identify so that they don't have to look inside and explore themselves. 9s like to show humility, but humility is not something that you have to practice. What you have to practice is to become more active, to become more of a go-getter. That's your healthy direction towards number 3. Yeah, number 3, 6, and 9, they move within this triangle. While 9 is inertia, number 3 is action. To move a little bit towards number 3 means to become less invisible and less passive and more decisive. To think a little bit more about yourself and less about others. To get in contact with your emotions, especially your suppressed anger, and then to do things, to actually put things into practice. That doesn't have to mean that you suddenly have to become a stockbroker or something. It just means while you're connected with your heart, you do things from your heart, from love and strength rather than from inertia and sociability. Yeah, don't just do things because you feel that someone wants it or it's good for someone else. Do it because you yourself feel it's the correct thing to do. Find your intuition. Find your inner master or inner mistress. And you will never find this outside, only inside. You can still stay a peacemaker, a referee, a mediator. You can remain that. But because of inner strength, not of fear and suppressed anger or unresolved trauma. And value your time. Value time. Time you spend. Spend for what? Get out of unhealthy relationships. You know it's going in the wrong direction if those suppressed feelings come up and you can't hold them back anymore. Your anger and your fear. And you finally tell others what you think about them in a not nice way because it just bursts out. This is number 6. Number 6 is afraid. So if you move towards fear, towards not being holding it together anymore, and cracks appear in your external mask of everything is okay all the time, then this is not a good sign. This is a warning flag. You should look at these things, but if they come up by force, against your will, that's not a good sign. So admit to yourself that you're not happy all the time. Because you're not happy all the time. But it's a nice mask to have. It makes you very likable. Very fun to be with. Very sympathetic. But it's a mask. And there are 2 subtypes to this. the 8 wing and the 1 wing, the two neighboring archetypes. The 8s are the leaders, so this is very interesting. To be this passive type number 9 with an 8 wing who is a leader. 9s with an 8 wing are actually trying to find a profession where this works somehow. A referee kind of profession. Maybe a psychologist, for example, a consultant working in human resources, something where both of these antagonizing abilities can work together. Or an actor. Lots of people with this type have been actors. And then there's the 9 with a 1 wing. Don Richard Riso calls it the dreamer. Number 1s are the pathfinders, the revolutionaries, the pioneers. They're very, very creative. They can be musicians or architects, artists, but they can be also politicians. With both these subtypes, it's very important that you still do your inner work. That you don't get lost in doing things for others, being it privately or at work, because work is also a very good way to distract yourself from your inner path. Don't postpone your own life. The 9s have one big advantage, that they see how things work together. They can see the big picture. For no type, it is that easy to see the big picture, how the universe plays together, to look through Maya and to see how everything is actually a harmony. But don't do this as a spiritual bypass. You have to solve your own shit first. And once you're through that, you can see things very clearly. So, in Spiral Dynamics terms, what 9s avoid more than any other type is coral. It's very important for you to go through coral. And then you can be the real peacemaker. Not because you need it, but because you are it. You are him or her. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me on Patreon. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing the videos with your friends. See you soon. Write your comments below. Which archetype do you want to hear next about? Oh yeah, I almost forgot. So this is a bonus for people who actually watch the whole video. Famous examples of number 9s. Lahiri Mahasaya, for example. I know I already mentioned him for type number 5. You have all the 9 types, but usually you have one type that is more of a disposition than others. But it's also possible to have 2 types. And he certainly displayed both qualities, 5 and 9. Many founders of yoga schools, like BKS Iyengar, Vishnu Devananda Saraswati, Tirumalai Krishna Macharya, Swami Satchitananda, they were probably 9s. Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, the magician, he's a typical 9. Don Richard Riso mentions C.G. Jung as a 9 with a 1 wing. I'm not so sure about that, but it's a good idea. Jed McKenna could be a 1 or a 9. Mohammed could very well have been a 9. The Dalai Lama and Eckhart Tolle could be a 9, but they also portray other qualities. Otherwise, it's very difficult to find 9s. They're really the rarest of types. Okay, that's really it for today now. See you soon. Bye.